interesting that you've highlighted the fact that relationships are based on communication, whether marriage relationships, whether business relationships. You mentioned something about whether in the office.
In the office, yeah.
Business, whatever relationships we have, communication. And you'll find that this has been, a recurring decimal, so to speak, in most of our conversations. And that is something for our viewers to note. Now, I can call you Taye, yes?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so now Taye, tell me, do we have male emotions different from female emotions? What are these differences? Because we're talking about us being differently wired.
Yeah.
Am I a conduit wired house? Is Helen surface wired?
And the human species is
so
male,
what's the
female.
difference, Taye?
Conduit wire, surface wire.
Which was more dangerous?
I don't know.
I think that understanding makes them less dangerous, if you can use that word.
Yes.
I would say that while the man and the woman, the male and the female, are different, I believe that emotions are universal. So I do not believe, and I know that a lot of research has been done on this subject, that male emotions differ from female emotions.
Okay.
What does exist is the expression of the emotion. So for instance, a man is happy, he expresses differently from when a woman is happy. A man is angry or sad or excited, he expresses differently. So it's understanding the expression, because human emotion is common to everyone that is a human being. And the man is human, the woman is also human. So I will not say that there's a male emotion separate from a female emotion.
Great.
But the male expresses different from the way in which the female expresses.
Wow.
See how we said
wow
together? Well, okay. It's the way we express it. And of course, because a man will be a man, he expresses it differently from the way that the woman will express it. And then we're looking at also, apart from the way, we're also looking at the timing, in this communication, so that there's no breakdown, there's no lack of it, there's no too much of it, to bring about challenges. So can we separate? You just said no on the surface. If we look deeper into traditions and the ego of the man and the women lib thing that's going on, can we then separate that? Can we then say there's some level of difference in the male emotions from the women emotion when you take into consideration the traditions evolving from culture?
Okay, so what I like to look at it from, people, male, female, the gender conversation, you find that when you really look deep, it's more a case of nurture. So people have been conditioned because of a certain type of nurture. Now, if you look back, you see that men have been brought up differently from the way that women have been brought up differently. And so there's this tendency to feel that a man should not express, but it is coming from a place of messages that have been passed along as a result of upbringing. And so you can have two different men being brought up completely different. One being brought up to express, and one being brought up not to express. They are both men.
Yeah.
The fact that the one is expressing doesn't make him any less a man. So it's important to understand the upbringing. You can't take the upbringing away. So there's that element of upbringing. And so I don't like to, compartmentalize or stereotype. Because you can say a gender is expected to behave in a particular way. But really, it's a function more of nurture.
Upbringing.
Background. And the things that the society has conditioned. And so when you take some of those conditionings away, at the end of the day, we are all just people.
Because you find a few men saying, please, black people forgive me. That just came to my mind. Or I'm a Benue person. Okay, let me use that word. I'm an Idoma man. I'm a thief man. Where I come from, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
This is how it goes. So that's why we're looking at, is tradition also a part of this conditioning factor? Is culture
Absolutely.
also a part of it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Take that thief man out of thief, throw him in Australia or throw him in Japan. A thief man who grows up in Japan will behave completely different. So environment,
Yes.
tradition, these are the
Nurture.
things that have shaped the way the genders relate to themselves.
Yes.
And those are the things that we need to understand. So when we talk about understanding one another, as couples, you can't take the understanding of where your partner is coming from away from that journey of understanding.
Absolutely.
You want to understand, where is this person coming from? What has been their experiences? What has been the journey that they have been on that has brought them to this place and to this thinking that they are exhibiting?
Now, just so that it doesn't look like we're picking on men, all right? Let's switch to the other side for a moment. I've been trying to get into the heads of women, and I'm not sure I've made that much success, I must confess, right? Now, could you tell us, please, Taye, how does a woman make her spouse understand the intricacies of her female emotions and make him align with them?
You know, I find it so funny when you said you've been trying, and I'm to get into the head of a woman. And in my mind, I think, what are you looking for inside our head? What are you looking for inside our head?
Yes.
It goes back to the issue of communication, really. And I find in my work that not just the men, we don't know how to communicate effectively because we have not been taught. So people are taught how to read and write,
Okay.
but we are not taught how to speak. We are not taught how to listen.
How to relate.
We are not taught how to relate. We are not taught how to express feeling and emotion. And so you find that even the woman trying to communicate is doing it in a way that is not effective.
Yes.
And because she's doing it in a way that is not effective, it's producing a result that is frustrating, not just her, but also her spouse or her partner. So it goes back to understanding the fundamentals of communicating
The
effectively.
how.
The how. How do you let someone know that this is what I'm feeling without the person feeling blamed or judged? Because most of the time when we are expressing, we are blaming, we are judging, we are criticizing. And then the person who is hearing these things begins to shut down because, hey, you're telling me I'm this,
You're coming
I'm
again
that,
today.
I'm bad, I'm wrong, you have done that. But when you get to the place where you are able to say it in a way that you're just letting them know how you feel.
Yes.
And so it still will go back to that issue of understanding the person that you're with, and it's a journey. Anybody who's been married for a certain length of time, I've been married for 21 years, it's a journey. It doesn't happen in a day. But willingness to learn is so important. I have found that willingness to let go of things that are harmful for your relationship and pick up on those things that can help you have a better relationship. So there's a lot to do with the willingness and the commitment of the two parties that are involved.
I'm going to write that down. Willingness to learn is key to acceptance,
Absolutely.
right?
I love that word
To the
that you
balance.
used. I love that word, acceptance.
Yes.
Because that's
Because that's what it
major
is.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
It is.
Yes,
It is.
because for both of you to be on the same page, both of you have to be willing to know, learn and know each other
Absolutely.
very well.
Yes.
If, for instance, like I'll give you an example. You offend my father, wake him up in the morning, first thing in the morning, and he accepts your apology. You be the one to wake him up. And that has been, so that if you know that your spouse, right, is going to react in a particular fashion at a particular time, then you know that that's not the time to
Absolutely.
communicate.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes. And I think that's what Helen was talking about when she talked about timing, understanding the right time.
The right time.
I always say that most things can wait.
Yes.
So it mustn't be now. You hear some people say, as it's doing me, I have to talk about it. This is not the right time.
So do I get an honorary certification on psychology?
Because you put a lot of pressure on yourself when it must be done now. Yes.
It mustn't be done now. It can wait.
It can wait.
It can wait. And then another thing that I like to talk about is the fact that in a relationship, the winner should always be the marriage. Because when the marriage is the winner and the two of us feed off that marriage, we are both winners.
Have won.
So the struggle for I am right, you are wrong, it does damage in the long term.
Yes.
The person who is always right will feel good in the now, but there's a damage waiting ahead.
Yes.
But when at every point in time your marriage is winning, then I'm feeding off that marriage that is winning. And so is my partner. So we both end up as winners.
Okay, you have said a lot about the male-female emotional traits and how it's not so different because both the male and the female are human beings. But we're looking at the hormonal issues. You know, the makeup of the man, hormone-wise, is different from the makeup of the woman. Does that come into play? And also, when you are answering that question, think about the threats, you know, to this effective communication that you just talked about, which is very necessary for harmony in the home, in a relationship. What are the threats? What is it that threatens us from achieving? Everybody wants to have a beautiful home, a beautiful relationship. But what are those
threats?
And then,
okay, when we look at hormones, I mean, definitely male hormones are different from female hormones. But hormones affect behavior. And that's why I say emotions are common to all. But because hormones affect behavior. And then there's also the self-awareness gospel, or the self-awareness and self-regulation gospel.
What's that?
That's simply saying that when you are aware of yourself, you know your strengths and your weaknesses, you know the things that trigger you, that's self-awareness. Self-regulation is when you are now regulating. So I know my triggers. I don't let my triggers control me. So I know that I have a tendency, I'm prone to certain hormones, but the hormones should not control me. That's when you get into self-regulation mode. So understanding who you are. And that's why I say that emotions are universal. Hormones, yes, they're different. So people will say women, a particular part of the time of the month, you become hormonal. But if you understand yourself, you don't let that control you.
And if the spouse understands also that time, so much happens also.
Yeah, but I always feel that take responsibility for yourself. Because I'm not in control of how my spouse will respond. The thing I have 100% control over is me and my responses. And so I know that I will likely go through this time of the month. I can control myself if I train myself to. Why should everybody around me suffer because I am hormonal? Okay. So it's also a balance of expectations, which you find playing out a lot in marriage. Balancing expectations. That is something that is also so key, so vital and crucial.
You see, this is the problem I have when I face professionals, because you try to put them in a corner and they wriggle out. Now, Tai, let's see if you can get this.
Okay.
I'm going to replace the word.
I'm going to get her back to talk to me about the threats.
Yes, sorry about that. Okay. I think I'm a little too eager to get this out. Now, tell me, if we take out the word hormones,
okay,
and we replace it with instinct.
Instinct.
Right? Tell me, don't you think that a man will feel stifled, right, if you ask him to let go a few of these, not hormones now, natural male instincts that are coincidental with his actions?
Natural male instincts.
Natural.
Big words. You know?
You know, because you see, we're trying to resolve a problem here. Because we see men behave.
It's a big problem.
We see men behave in a particular fashion.
Yeah.
And women, even in the best marriages,
Yes.
you still see the man, do certain things. Yes, I want my pounded yam at 11 p.m. and it has to be at so room temperature. And if that doesn't happen, no deal.
Does that still happen?
So those
I was
natural.
going to ask that question. Does that still happen?
My mother.
You
Does that
never
still
know.
happen?
You never know. All right. So how do we instincts, hormones? How do we balance it up with the man's behavior?
Thank you very much. That word behavior is another word that I'm big on because a lot is behavior. When you say instinct, so the thing about me is that I find that we hide a lot of things behind words. And so instinct, what do we really mean by instinct? But I find that you can't say that this is what applies across board because people are different.
Okay.
And we're different because we've been raised differently. And so you will find that this alpha male, because I think that's what we're getting towards.
Yes.
That this alpha male, it's an upbringing thing. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. Because at the end of the day, it's how do you, as the alpha male, project yourself?
Sure.
It's always a case of how do I use the things that I have, the things that I've been given, even the male ego. How do I use it? Because the ego is there. It's not meant for you to oppress.
And it's not meant for you to compromise.
What do you mean by compromise?
That's
if I
the
may
You
ask?
lower the bar.
That's
You lower
what
the
What is lowering the bar?
Yes, and
What is lowering the bar?
you lower the bar.
What is compromise?
You
What is
make
lowering-
yourself unnecessarily vulnerable.
Okay.
Wow, vulnerable.
Yes.
Another big
vulnerable, another big, massive word.
Okay.
Do you know that there's strength in vulnerability?
Really, tell me about it.
There's so much strength in vulnerability. Do you know that vulnerable people have an edge over those who close up? Why? Because you enjoy a better relationship. Now, there's the danger of feeling that if I'm vulnerable, they will take me for granted.
Yes.
Now, who sold that narrative? That came from maybe one or two people's experiences, and they've now made it the norm. When it comes to marriage, the parties involved, husband and wife.
Yes.
What is wrong with us being vulnerable to each other?
Exactly.
If we want emotional connectedness, if there's no vulnerability, it becomes almost impossible. Because there's a place for vulnerability, for emotional connectedness to happen. Wow. And I always say that marriage is between the man and his wife. What we do to make our marriage work is absolutely nobody's business. Why can I not be vulnerable with the woman I said I do to? What is the fear? To love is to get your heart broken. There's risk in love, like every other thing in life. There's risk in love.
There are influences now.
That's tough. Of course,
It
there
is
would
those
be.
influences that, and some of the influences are positive.
Yes.
But understanding the influence that is negative on your relationship saves you and your spouse or partner a great deal of hurt or pain. And that is the what's the word now, that people are not able to make. You need to be able to say, this is my relationship.
This is my space.
This is my space. I control the narrative, not my father or my mother. Not my uncle in the village.
Or my sister.
Not what my association says, this is how a woman should behave.
Yes.
This is how a woman should behave. My husband has not married a woman. He married me.
Okay.
Those are very fundamental. You know, when it comes to marriage, marriage is not just any relationship. It's a relationship ordained by God. And I say to people, if you want your marriage to be different, you need to do things differently.
Wow. You know, every week we'll sit here and look at one aspect or the other towards achieving harmony in the home, strength in the home, unity, strengthening love, you know, and getting the family to be enjoyed from beginning to end. That's the essence of this show. And each week I learn, you know, a few things that are new that even I probably never deeply thought about as the solution to one or two issues or hurdles that I had, you know, met in my marriage. And it's awesome when I think about it. And I begin to see how carelessly, if I can use that word, a lot of us look at marriage. It's just life, one day after another. Not a lot of planning and thought go into it. At this point, we would like to take a break. Can we?
Well, because I'm sitting at the edge of my seat, maybe I need to relax.
Please relax.
Have a cup of tea.
More. She's here. She's not going anywhere.
So we'll be right back after the break.
Okay.
So, thank you for staying with us. It's been quite a session already, and I must say that Taya Aluko has been doing an excellent job, you know, breaking down the quirks and the perks of each gender and how it relates to having good relationships in marriages. Now, Tai, I haven't successfully thrown you under the bus, but I hope you look forward to that. Okay. Now, do you mind telling us how do couples then go about agreeing on a midpoint for gender and emotional communication? How do they, how do you hold the meeting?
How do you hold the
coffee
meeting?
table?
I think that I would say that willingness on both parts, because I work with couples often and I see that willingness is lacking.
Okay.
So where there's no willingness, how do you even start? So being willing, and oftentimes people are not willing because they don't want to make change. Change is necessary if you want to have, like you've always been saying, harmony in the home. So that willingness is important. And then also creating an atmosphere where you can talk to each other. Communication thrives when there's an atmosphere for openness. Okay. And that's why I wondered when he talked about vulnerability. It thrives in an atmosphere where you can be vulnerable. I will open up to you if I'm not afraid that what you tell me, you will use it against me. Or you will use it to mock me. Or that you won't look at me somehow and say,
so you've been there.
So you've been doing this thing. So this is what you've even been thinking about me. So this is the mind you had about me all this while. Because I opened up to you. So that willingness. And then also, I also believe firmly that sometimes you might need to call in an expert. If you're having these conversations and you're not getting anywhere, that's why the professionals are there. And more people are realizing that we can save our marriage with the help of an expert. Because then this person sits as a neutral person and is observing the patterns that are going on between the two of you. Remember, I'm taking my side. my husband is taking his side. This is someone who is neutral. So a lot of times the things that we struggle with, a professional, a trained person coming into the mix can also help us sort it out.
Wow.
But for the more important thing where you don't want to go that route, that willingness, that ability to unlearn. You've talked about the things that we grew up with. Unlearning some of them
Yes.
to save our marriages, essential. Then to replace old knowledge with the knowledge that will serve our own marriage.
Yeah. Okay.
You said something earlier about the essence that it is all about the marriage, not about the husband or the wife or the children. It's about the marriage. So if the marriage works, everybody else wins. So it's not about individuals winning. John has been here talking about how the man is made up and what the society...
I actually represent the male...
male gender here today. Thank you, John. So how does a male partner, for example, in a relationship, then answer the pressures, you know, because there are pressures from the society who make him seem as he has sold out on the men? As a representative of the male,
yes, me.
in that...
As a representative of it, is representing the men,
Men.
the men in his marriage.
Yes.
He's standing for the men inside his own marriage. that's
Can you
interesting.
imagine?
Representing the men in your marriage. I'll start by telling a story. When we first got married, my husband and I, my husband is from Elisha. I am from Ibadan. And my mom always says it. Her mother didn't teach her how to pound yam, so she could not teach any of her children. If you know Elisha people, they like pounded yam.
Oh, yes.
My husband was the one pounding the yam.
What time? 11?
No, whenever if he wanted to eat pounded yam,
yeah.
he would pound it.
Okay, he would pound it.
He would pound it.
Oh, he would
And
pound it.
Yeah, he would pound it because he knew how to pound it. He was taught. All of them were taught in their home. I was never taught.
Okay.
And when his parents would come and see us, I could never offer them pounded yam because I don't know how. They came to understand that this is how we are. My husband himself never felt, oh, no, how can you? At the end of the day, he owes nobody an explanation. He did not, he was not there representing any male gender.
You owe nobody
An
an
explanation.
explanation.
Yes.
That's the key.
That is the key. Today, there's ola, there's poundo yam. It's not even healthy. It's not even healthy. So less people are eating it. But, you know, for me, when I see marriage, because marriage is so spiritual. And we can't operate a spiritual institution with, you know, secular thinking, secular dynamic. I think that's one of the dangers that institution is facing. Because a lot of the things that are spiritual about it, we're interpreting it with our feelings, with our emotions, and there is a place for that.
Advancement
There
in
is a place for
technology,
that.
development,
Yes.
modernization, all of them.
But back to John's question, the male.
Yes.
It comes back to understanding. And it's really about you and your spouse understanding yourself. What are the things that are important to me as a person? I'm not going to dismiss them. What is important to me? But it's a journey that if we don't do it right, we will never get it right.
Do it right.
So
It's not enough
when I
to
know what
know.
is important, exactly, when I know what is important to you, and I'm invested in your well-being, then I make the effort.
Okay. All right. So, well,
And I'm just getting to the nitty-gritty of this show. But the director just said we need to wrap it up. Would you make time to join us some other time?
Oh,
We need to wrap this round properly. John, you have lots of questions. You're not happy. Your face. Pico now.
yeah, because like you said, you know, I'm representing
And you're-
the
There's still so much.
the men,
Okay.
and they're going to ask me a few questions, you know, but
Tell them there will be a part two.
they'll be in part 2. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm
so
trying
that's
to
all.
understand
That's
why
all
you're
we can take.
representing the men, though.
So, in a nutshell, that's all we can take.
Yes.
And honestly, we can't thank you enough,
Thank
Taya
you.
Lugo, for joining us today. On
We've
this
learned so much,
first
so
segment
much.
of our program. Now, on the next segment, we'll be looking at Dolly
Yeah.
and Pharaoh Tomo. We'll also be talking to
Eziogwu.
A special guest,
Chukwuemeka.
Eziogwu Chukwuemeka. Yes, you got that right. Who's a life coach and psychologist on the topic. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah, you
So,
agree with that?
Stay tuned.
Yes,
as we
President,
take a
yeah.
break.
To a certain degree, I do.
Okay.
So the man is coming for
Mars.
John.
All right. Thank you
So
so much
stay
again,
tuned
Tai.
and we'll
Thank
take a break
you.
now. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so now you can see we've got some dumbbells. Don't worry, if you don't have dumbbells, you can use 2 bottles of water or fill some bottles of empty bottles of water with sand. They work as weights. So now we're going to start with a quick march, and then we're going to go into a HIIT workout. We have 5 workouts, and we're going to try and do them 3 times. Are we ready? Come on now. We start with jumping jacks. Let's go. And 1, 2, 3. Now you can see what Stephen is doing. He's doing the easier version. If you can't jump, just step out. Lovely. Come on. 3, 2, and 1. Slow it down. March. Very good. Next one, we're going to go into triple high knees. Follow Stephen. Just knee up. If you can't do your triple high knees, Elvis and I are going to go 1, 2, hold it. Are we ready? 5, 6, let's go. Hey! 4, 3, 2, and 1. March it out. Nice. Now, we're going to jump, jump, squat. Stephen is just going to squat. We are going to do the jump, jump, and the squat. Are you ready? 5, 6, 7. 2 jumps, 1 squat. 1, 2. One more. 1. March it out. All right, now, 2 punches down, 2 punches up. Steve is going to stay here. Elvis and I, we're going to kick it out as well. Are we ready? Ready. Come on. In 5, 6, 7. Take it down first. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. March it out. Good job. All right, this one is a little bit hard. A little bit hard, but why not? Elvis and I are going to go here. This is what we're doing. Steve-O is just here. Elbows to the knees. Are you ready? Come on. 5, 6. Let's open out first. Let's go. Ha. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice one. Catch your breath. This is a good time to have a sip of water because you need to what? Stay hydrated. Thank you. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Yes, they are. In 5. We're going to those triple high knees. Just the high knees. 5, 6, 7. Let's go. 1. Hey. 2, 3. One more. And 1. March it out. Good job. 2 jumps, 1 squat. You remember that one. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2. Good. 3, 4. Looking good. 5. Keep it up. 6, 7. Don't give up. 8 more. Let's go. 8, 7, 6. Come on. 5. Almost there. 4.
Let's go, guys.
3,
Yeah.
2. One more. And 1. March it out. Good job. Remember the punches? 2 punches down, 2 punches up. Stay with Steve-O right here. If you can't jump. Elvis, are you ready? Let go. 1.
Let's go.
Hey, hey. 2. Ha, ha. Come on. 3. Catch your breath. Nice one. Elbow, 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 elbow. Elbow.
Good.
Nice one. So we're taking it to the last one. We're going to change it from the first one because we want to target those abs, yeah? So we're right here. Right leg first. 1. Give me doubles. Everybody's doing this one. Push your limit. 5, 6, we go, right leg. 1, come on, 2, 3, trap those elbows, 4, Steve-O, stay here. We are going to kick out on the next one. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One knee, one kick, 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 and one. And match it out. Dumbbells down in a safe space in front of you so you don't trip over it. Safety first. Let's bring it down. In 5, 6, 7. Deep breath in. Let's go. And out. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In and out. One more. In. Hip circles. Let's go to the left. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now, can you touch your toes? Touch. Bounce on it. Stretch those hamstrings. Very good. Now, hold it. 8, 2, back bend. Slowly rise up. Push your hips forward. Bounce. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Shoulder stretch. Come on. Nice stretch here. Tricep stretch all the way to the back. Small of your back. Pull it. Let your body follow. Lovely. And back up. Other side. Shoulder stretch. Grab that elbow. Very nice. Clasp hands in front of you. Turn over. Push. 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 Now go up. Heels off the floor. Grow. 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 Hold it. Hold it. And we collapse down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and. Awesome. Elvis, Sivolala. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you got a fantastic workout. Until the next time. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Thank you, John and Helen. We know that men and women are different, but do we really understand what that actually means? In today's world, there seems to be a lot more women taking the lead in various aspects of life. But is that really the case? Or are we just seeing it more because of social media? What does it mean to be a feminist? What does patriarchy mean? Lots of questions, very little time. But Emeka and I will attempt to answer some of these questions and hopefully dissect the key differences between both sexes in the hope that men and women will have a better appreciation for and understanding of each other. Ezugo Chukwuemeka is currently the head of Academy and Coaching Services at the Olushola Lanre Coaching Academy. He's a certified leadership and life success coach and a master NLP practitioner. He also has over 10 years experience in human capacity development, human behavioral psychology, and organizational behavior. Welcome, Emeka.
Thank you very much, Farrell. It's good to be here.
It's awesome to have you.
Same here.
And
It's
now,
good to be here.
let's shake some tables.
I'm off shaking tables.
But first, can you please explain equality and sameness?
Right. In gender terms,
Yes.
yeah, so if we're going to use gender as a context, equality is we want to both have access to the same kind of treatment. We want to be treated the same way. We want to be accorded the same level of respect or influence. If something
Earn
goes
the
for-
same money.
earn the same money, I mean, live in the same kind of house, enjoy the same kind of benefits, right? That's
Go back to earn the same money.
exactly. Sameness is now we're going outside perks. We're looking at essence.
Okay.
Sameness is an essential thing. Are we essentially the same? If we're going to really answer that question, we'll come from the being that we are. We're human. So essentially, if we're going to define sameness from that being place, we'll say we're the same because we are human. We are the same species. All right? That's sameness. All right? But the truth is, within this species, there is a classification. Yes. Yeah, and then
Female.
male and female.
Yes.
All right? So at the species level, we are the same. We are
Okay.
human.
Okay.
All right? But if we go down to classification,
Yes.
breaking down a little, we now say, okay, we're not completely the same because we're structurally different, we are physiologically different. Now, that difference plays out in all of our interaction. So coming back to the question, is equality and sameness the same? I don't think it is.
Okay.
Right, and that's where we now begin to fight. If we are not physiologically, structurally the same,
Emotionally, Nko?
emotions are universal.
Okay.
How we express them
Is
are
what
just the
differs.
difference, yeah.
Okay.
And that expression is based on programming, scripts, schema, the things we've learned before now, how we were bred or raised, right? But really, okay, if we come back to it, we are the same as a species. We're different in how, in our morphology, in our physiology. And that difference structurally affects all of our outputs. So
Okay.
can we now ask ourselves that we want to be equal?
That's where I was going. So we're the same because we're all part of the human race.
Exactly.
But when we break down the different types of human race, we have male and we have female
In a way.
that we know of.
Yeah.
So we're different in that regard.
In that regard.
And as a result of that difference, equality.
Equality now becomes dicey. Now,
Okay.
because your definition of equality is that we should have certain specifics that are the same.
Yes.
And then when your structure, your physiology, right, brings some kind of what's it called now? Some kind of pause in that flow. Let me call an example. We have a work setting. In the work setting, the expectation is that you come from 9 to 5 for a duration, and then you have a specific number of weeks you go on leave or something, right? And that's supposed to be general, okay? But then the female gender based on her structure, her physiology, and her
Gets
place
pregnant.
in society, will get pregnant.
Yes.
And if she gets pregnant, depends on the structure or the system
She'll
or the
have
policy within
maternity
the
leave.
you need maternity leave of between 3 to 6 months.
Which the man doesn't have.
Well, some people are arguing for paternity leave.
Some organizations now have paternity leave, to be fair.
All right, but the challenge is the leave was not the issue. Whether the man should go home when the woman goes home was not the issue. The issue was, did we understand that these differences were strengths in themselves, and they
How
were not?
so?
Yeah, because these differences were defined in, how will I explain this now, in the roles that we had to run through a society. It's difficult to talk about it from this perspective.
Okay.
Right? If we were to regress back a little, say 300, 400, 500 years,
Okay.
before the industrial age, before the concept of the job was created, what was the man and the woman like?
Okay. The men went to war. The man was the one that went to work. The woman was the homemaker.
Exactly. Was
And
there
then the
ever
war
a fight?
happened.
Was there ever a fight as to, we are not equally treated?
I don't know. I didn't live in that era.
If we go anthropologically, that wasn't even, because in that place in society, she was seen as king, as homemaker. She was certain cultures, in fact, let's even regress back another 600 to 1,000 years,
Okay.
anthropologically. Certain cultures deified the woman. You know why? Just because she could carry life and birth life. She was, in fact, those who actually really study religion will say that it was not until we had a patriarchal, male-dominant world that the concept of male gods was introduced.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So it used to be female gods.
It used to be goddesses,
I see.
right? In fact, the argument is so strong that it was when we brought forth this male-dominant dispensation that they now defaced that concept. Now you would understand why, right? Because the woman is special.
How so?
By design, right? She is, and I'm not trying to allude to religion, just naturally, she is a life carrier.
True.
And it takes a lot to hold life on your inside and bet it. I was thinking recently, I mean, there was this research that the labor pain that a woman goes through will kill a man 7 times over. So every time she births a child, he has died 7 times.
Wow.
Right. So how do I tell that woman we are the same, or we are equal, or we are?
So from what you're saying, doesn't that suggest that women are superior to men?
And that's it. The thing again, we're coming to equality and inequality. If she stays as a woman, I'm not saying she should. I'm not even saying her coming. In fact, we'll explain that in a bit. If she stays as a woman, accept everything that comes with being a woman, and don't see the man's world as a challenge to her world. Right? She's powerful in her own state.
I see. So
She's not superior to
own her power.
Exactly, and that was what the Asians will do. They left her closer to deity. They left her closer to whatever god they worshipped then, because they gave her a place. This is a cross culture, ancient German culture, ancient African culture, would leave the woman closer to deity than the man.
I see. So what changed?
Yeah, now this is where we're coming to. Society had always evolved.
Okay.
Our problem is we're evolving and we still think we're the same. Over since the Second World War, women moved into the workplace en masse. They literally entered into the world of work. Why?
Because their husbands had gone to
their
war
husbands
and died
had
at
gone to
war or injured.
Some came back crippled, some came back. So these women, society evolved to allow them come into, in quotes, the man's world, the world of work that was created with the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
So when she came into this world, you should know now that this world was not yours in the first place. So it's going to make its own shifts to adjust and adapt for you to come. I don't even want to talk about the men and their ego, right? And how they have to fight and say, no, the few of us that are here know this one and this one. I mean, what do they do normally? They take care of children, you know, right? The impetus now is for, over the last 60 years, women have had to develop capacities for the workplace.
Okay.
And the more capacity they developed, the more the workplace rewarded that.
Okay.
So 6 of our banks today have women as their EDs. That would never have existed a couple of years ago. Right? It wouldn't even have existed 100 years ago. Right? But what we are seeing is that evolution coming to the fore. We are right at the heart of something powerful. Right? At the very last rung of the ladder of the evolution of the woman, the evolution of, I call it the evolution of Eve. Right? At the very last rung. Society is making adjustment. But the problem now is the woman is fighting. And when we look at it from the place of all the abuse and the fact that we see it, we might want to justify that. But they're fighting against a system that is already opening up to them. What happens
Really?
when... walk through it.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, women couldn't do some things in the workplace. In
Very
fact,
true.
a couple of years ago, the leave duration was just 3 months. Some organizations will move it to 6-7 months. Currently, organizations are having crèche right on their building so she can come in with her baby and breastfeed.
Very true,
They're
very
making
true.
a lot of adjustments
Very
for
true,
her.
very
Why?
true.
She's getting through. Not just because she's fighting, but because we see that she has capacity to deliver. She's a smart... And why? Because they brought her into the workplace. The workplace demands a set of skills. When she was a homemaker alone, she was powerful at that. The man couldn't come close. The man couldn't touch a crying baby. Right? But she could do that. Why? Because that was her exclusive place. And it wasn't a banishment. It was societal design. The evolution of our race at that point allowed us to stay there. Now the evolution of our race is bringing us to this point where she's now walking in the world of work. So that evolution would ask her to get more knowledge, grow, deepen her insights, deepen her qualifications for the world of work. If we project forward with all the crises that are happening across the world, right? Chances are that more men will run out of the workplace if there are wars and outbreak of wars like we're looking at. It means that her place in the world of work might just be consolidated very soon. It means that if the progression continues if we just run this progression and we don't alter anything, a time might come when she's dominant in the workplace. Currently, we have certain sectors in the society that have more women than men already playing.
Very true.
Certain sectors. In some places in banking, in some parts of marketing, in some parts of insurance, women are playing more than men. If you extrapolate and take that for another 100 years, a time might come when we have more men earning more than women. More women working and earning more than men.
More than men.
The balance will be tilted.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why does there seem to be a confusion now? Because now, what you're saying suggests, one, that very soon men are going to become emasculated and marginalized.
Maybe.
And men don't want that.
Yeah.
Men are from Mars. Women are from Venus. Where is the confusion here? Why can't everybody live in harmony?
The problem is society is scripting us.
How so?
The traditional man, the average man grew up in a male-dominant household. If you're 50 years and above today, chances are that you grew up around the father that is a typical authoritarian, who's the head of his house, the lord of his home. And that's the script you run with. In fact, if you're 40, maybe 30-something and above, right, that's the script you had to imbibe growing up. Why? He lived in a male-dominant society. Everybody around him scripted him to be the man and not reveal pain and not reveal emotions. Just be the man.
What is the man?
That's society. That was the evolution. Then now, I'm going at something, right? So right now, as he's growing old, he gets to have a son and a daughter. Now look at this. His son is learning from him, looking at him and like, yeah, that's what it means to be a man. But he's raising his daughter not to be like the woman she married. So the woman he married was a wife, a mother, a homemaker. By scripts, social scripts. But he's raising his daughter to be successful. So she comes out after her BS. He's like, you need to get a master's. And then he gets a master's. You want a PhD. And then he's raising her to be successful. But he's schooling his boy to be like him. So the big challenge we have now is society has confused the boy and the girl. So the girl now comes out. She's not thinking like her mother, but her brother, still thinking like his father. Part of the problem we have in marriages today is because we have men who still think like their father. getting married to women who have stopped thinking like their mother.
How do you mean?
The mother was raised to be a mother, a wife, a homemaker. The daughter was raised to be successful. Different programming.
Wow.
And the funny thing is the boy was not raised to live with a successful woman.
Wow.
The script is different. The script is different. So the guy, in fact, I would think that ladies would be a little empathic with
That's
today's
what I
man.
was thinking, because I was like...
Because the guy is confused. He has his father's script, but he's married to his sister's archetype. So half of the time he's thinking, well, but dad did that at home and it worked. How come this isn't working here? So what will work? I don't have the script. And funny enough, nobody's taught me.
So how is it the woman's problem that he doesn't have the script? Why should she be empathetic?
Because she herself doesn't have a mother's script. So she can't live with him because he's running his father's her father's program. You don't get it? We confuse both of them. Well, we told the boy to stay same and keep earning, that he will get a woman like his mother. All right? And then we told the girl, no, don't be like your mother. The world is very expensive now. You are supposed to be a contributor to this. So earn your own money, have your own, be successful by yourself. And then this boy whose father always lived with a woman who found it easy to submit is going to live with a girl who talks back by design. You get what I'm saying? He doesn't have the scripts. He's confused. And like his father, when he can't handle it, he doesn't say, I can't handle it. He doesn't say, I'm confused. He doesn't say, please help me love you, help me treat you. I don't know how. Because his father never said that in the house. No, his father always knew. So you've got a boy who you think is proud, or a young man who you think is egoistical, just have this nonsense running in his head. He doesn't even know how to be with you. If he could just tell you, teach me to love you, it will solve all the problems we have in our lives. But he doesn't even know how to say that because, here it is, his father never even said, I love you in the house. Talk more of teach me to love you.
So, wow.
You get that?
I did say we were going to shake some tables.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it a step further.
All right.
And I'm going to go down the route of religion.
Whoa.
Yeah?
Okay.
Because whether it's Christianity or whether it's Islam or, yeah, we're very religious people.
Yeah,
and it's not even just Africans. The whole world. We're very religious. And we follow the script of the Bible or the Quran or the other religions.
Yeah.
And a lot of these scripts were written way, way back. How do you marry that with today's world that you've just described?
Religion, now this might sound funny, but religion evolves within a cultural context. Abraham, I was having these arguments with some friends on some platform a couple of days back. And the guy was like, Sarah called Abraham Lord. I said, Abraham and Sarah live within a point in the evolution of man in society where there was a cultural system that allowed for that to happen. Abraham lived in a patriarchal, male-dominant society. It was okay for Sarah to call Abraham Lord. All right? And people would still tell you that even in Islam is perhaps. Islam, I'm not going to be very wrong when I say most extremists would want to regress back to 7th century Arab Peninsula thinking, because that was when the religion was really scripted. And if you go back, you're going back to Bedouin age. You're going back to the desert Bedouin age. All right? Now, look at how far we've come from that place to now. The society has evolved. The systems have evolved. We don't have a society that is 100% patriarchal. We don't have Abraham society. I dare say that if Sarah and Abraham were to live in this age, Sarah would respect Abraham and still call him babe. Because there's a...
But will Sarah be working?
Sarah will be working. Because that's the definition of this dispensation. As a species, we only thrive in our this evolutionary. We only thrive in in every dispensation we live in based on how we adapt to that dispensation. If you don't adapt to that dispensation, you would fall out, basically. So you have to adapt to the knowledge and the thought that drive that age. If you don't adapt, you would fall out. So that's exactly what's happening. So if Abraham had lived in this age, now let's even go back to Abraham. I like that guy. Because when he went to a particular city, I think it was Abimelech city, right? The king saw him playing with Sarah. Playing in a way that...
that told the king that
this
they were
your
not brother and sister.
Yeah. So, get this, there was a principle behind that. Whereas Sarah would call Abraham Lord, they still had a level of romantic relationship and friendship that a foreigner can see, a stranger can see and say, no, these guys are not, they are not friends, they are not just brothers and sisters, these people are lovers. Abraham was romantic, Abraham was playful. So then go back and ask, what was the Lord that Sarah was calling Abraham? Did that Lord place him in a place where they could not be friends?
I see. So what you're
Talking about is reverence versus
fear. Reverence is a mix of love and fear. Fear alone is what we're looking at. Fear is what the authoritarian calls. And that fear is what he interprets as respect. Growing up, you would hear your father is coming back from work and everybody's running. It's a human being that is coming back, not a goat, not a dog, not a cow, not a wild beast. But they're running in and your father knows, oh, yeah, that's what it means. When I come, everybody arrange. Because they fear him. Reverence is beautiful because I fear and love. Right. But love in itself, love as it is, should not have fear. I'm not even going into that place. I want to stay with the question of religion. All right. Religion has allowed us think of these things in a dispensation.
right. So basically, we need to bring religion to the age we live in today.
Exactly.
For it to make sense.
We're looking at the letter. We're looking at the letter, the actual words that were written. We're not looking at the spirits behind those words.
Right.
And if you're a Christian, you will know how you say that the letter will kill you, but the spirit will give you life. So look at the principles underlying what they have written. Those principles are limitless, they are timeless.
Yeah.
You can always apply them any place, under any condition. But you are taking the letter, the content, the content, not even the context, the real content, and wanting to adopt it to today's man. Take the principle, right? The principle of respect.
I'm going to have to interrupt you because we can go on this forever.
Yeah.
We need to round up now. So very quickly, there's a man and a woman sitting down listening to you, and they're confused as to this whole concept of men are from Mars, women are from Venus. What would you tell them in one sentence? Or maybe two?
Well, I would tell the man, admit that you don't know this woman and start to learn.
Admit that you don't know her
And
start to learn.
Because the scripts that tomorrow's people will run with, you're the one that's going to create it.
I see.
So you don't have a template to work with now. Look, use your experiences and learn and figure out this is what works. This is what really works. I mean, do I want to be the boss in this house or do I want to have a happy home? If I answer that question, which of the two of them I want to be, the set of behaviors I pick will become the template that my children will run with because they will see it. All right? That's what I would tell the man. And what I would tell the woman is, you're from Venus. And in fact, you're from a very recent Venus, not the one his mother is from. He doesn't know you. Particularly to those who are courting and dating now, teach him to know you and love you. Don't just go ahead and marry that guy until he has known you and he can love you. This person, this recent Eve creature, teach him because he doesn't have that template, he doesn't have the script.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Script writing for men and women. This has been awesome. It really has. It's been too short, but it's. I hope it's shook some tables, and I hope it's kind of like.
Yeah, I wish you had more time.
Yeah, because we will do this again for sure. We need to we need to really expand on this. So thank you so much for taking the time to come today.
Thank you, Farah, for having me.
It's been really, really awesome. So up next, John, Helen, and myself are going to very quickly round up the show. And I'm just so in awe. So stay with us for a few more minutes. Thank you.
I will say that today I am totally broken.
Why?
And now that I understand the foundation of this confusion, broken positively. Okay. You know, sometimes you are like, and like I said at some point, every week we start out a topic as simple to our understanding. And when the experts come, it's a completely different ballgame. John, your nugget.
My nuggets, thank you, Ellen. I can see how you feel. So my nugget for today is most people in the audience are happy it's you up there and not them. Pharaoh, I'm not looking at you. so don't look away. Because most people, would rather have you up there on stage for your public speaking, whatever, assignment, engagement, call it whatever, than them. And it comes back to fear of facing the audience. Like I said earlier, in some of the earlier editions, most people will rather die than speak in public. Yeah? True. So that's my nugget for today. Okay. And I hope it has hit home.
All right. So all the public speakers should feel at home.
Should feel at home.
Yeah.
There's no point. Yeah, the audience is there for you.
What's your take home today? This show has been for me today. I have very little words to say.
Own your power as a woman. That is my take home.
Don't fight it.
Women have power, but we don't understand how much power we have.
Yeah.
And we're not owning it.
And the first guest, Taye, said it's okay to be vulnerable to the men, because it's at that point of vulnerability, and your guest also agreed, that you can feel free to open up and ask for help. Show me how to love you. Show me how to make this work.
Yeah. Excellence comes through vulnerability.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is.
That it is. There it is for today's edition of the program.
Awesome.
It's been Today with John and Helen, and we want to say thank you to all of you for being such great sport. We'll see you again next week, but before we go, from Pharaoh.
Thank you so much for being with us. Next week we'll be talking about more relationship-based topics, so please stay with us.
And while you wait for next week, don't forget to watch this show again tonight. It's at 9:30.
10:30.
10:30, and tomorrow morning.
10:30
a.m. 10:30 a.m. So those are the repeat slots. Please keep a date, and let's make sure that we're changing families for the better. Bye for now.
Most people know the common symptoms of the original COVID-19 variant, which are shortness of breath, cough, fever, sore throat, loss of taste or smell. It is important, however, to note that there are new variants of the coronavirus which are caused by mutations of the virus. The original Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and now the Delta variant. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the Delta variant, also known as B.1.617.2, can spread more easily as it has mutations on the spike protein that makes it easier for it to infect human cells. This means people may be more contagious if they contract the virus and more easily spread it to others. It is 50% more contagious than the Alpha variant, which is already 50% more contagious than the original coronavirus first identified in China in 2019. Its new symptoms are headaches, runny nose, and a sore throat. Now, while the Delta variant is still being studied, there are 5 things we need to note about it. 1. It spreads really quickly. One thing that sets this variant apart from others is the speed at which it's spreading. For instance, in just a few months' time, it went from being non-existent to becoming the dominant variant in the US, India, and the United Kingdom. 2. It could cause other symptoms. Cold-like symptoms such as headache, runny nose, and a sore throat top the list in the ongoing study of the Delta variant. 3. Vaccinated individuals are protected against the Delta variant. Medical experts have stated that the Delta variant is no match for the authorized vaccines as they provide a high level of protection against Delta and other variants circulating in the world. The AstraZeneca vaccine has been shown to be 60% effective at preventing infection and 92% effective at preventing hospitalization caused by the Delta variant, just to mention an instance. 4. Unvaccinated people are at risk. People who have not been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 are most at risk of being infected with the Delta variant. And for the first time, kids and young people are a concern as well. A recent study from the United Kingdom showed that children and adults under 50 were 2.5 times more likely to become infected with the Delta variant, as the variant seems to be impacting younger age groups more than previous variants. 5. Masks are still important. Health experts across the world advise everyone to still wear their mask, even though fully vaccinated against COVID-19. They are also advising unvaccinated people to avoid large gatherings and mask up indoors where the vaccination status of other people are unknown. And 6. Other variants are still on the way. Even though the Delta variant is currently the most prominent strain of COVID-19 currently, the Lambda variant out of South America is still emerging. Health experts urge that if people want to get back to normal, a significant portion of the population needs to be vaccinated. So get your vaccines today, mask up, and stay safe.
Welcome to The Breakfast.
A breakfast where we unbundle top and big stories of the day.
Is vaccine the only way out of this pandemic?
No, definitely not.
Many Ghanaians just want a peaceful election and they are hoping there will be no rigging.
There is nothing bad in borrowing for infrastructure. The minister added that he was impressed.
Please come and see yourself what we are doing with the money we have borrowed.
It's very important. The way we brand ourselves is the way people will carry us.
It's just the driver of the 2 vehicles that were completely burned. This one was here screaming.
What do you recommend the government do to support this sector?
Direct intervention, that's what every government all over the world has done.
We are not a parallel security structure. A multiple core is a complementary core.
What I will not encourage Christians to do is to carry dagger and follow anybody. No. Join us on The Breakfast, 7 a.m., Monday to Friday.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Politics has helped shape the decision of the polity, from conspiracy theories to good old-fashioned comic politics.
These are the result of tomorrow's election. You have it already, have you?
I am not hungry. If I need appointment, all I need to do is to start praising government.
Plus, politics will fill the polls of the country, from friends to frenemies, even strange bedfellows, to clones and stooges. We go beyond the rhetorics and the drama to analyze the story behind the story.
Let everybody come and say.
The moment we stop having charlatans occupy political offices, we will curtail hate speech.
Plus Politics, not just another political show. It's about putting you, the citizens, in the know.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby is presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes, but without showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6. So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment. There's another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good morning. Welcome to a beautiful Saturday morning. It's Plus Sports Special on Plus TV Africa. I'm your host, Mikhail Tinubu, and I have the everly best dress, Victor, with me.
Nice. That's what you call spinning the tail. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I also have Additional, a fan of Southampton, with us this morning, and he'll be helping us banter on Everton versus Southampton.
Hi, it's nice to be here this morning. It's nice to be on Plus TV Africa. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you too. We start with tennis. Top-seeded Daniil Medvedev came through in two tight tiebreakers to beat seventh-seeded Hubert Hurkacz 2-6, 7-6, 7-6 on Friday, August 13th, in the quarterfinals of the Masters 1000 Series event in Toronto. Medvedev, a 25-year-old Russian, is through to his fourth ATP Tour semi-finals of the year. He claimed titles in Mallorca in June and reached the Australian Open final in February. Hurkacz, a 24-year-old Pole, lost the match despite never dropping his serve. He faced just two break points, one in the first and one in the third, and saved both. The contest was a rematch of a Wimbledon fourth-round meeting that Hurkacz won in 5 sets. Medvedev's semi-final opponent will be unseeded John Isner, who beat 11th seed Gael Monfils in the late Friday night matchup.
Settlement, Medvedev, 2 sets to 1, 2-6, 7-6, 7-6.
Medvedev, a name that could be a vodka brand, carries on an impressive, powerful. He keeps going from the Olympics. He's still in form.
The momentum is actually very strong with him. I'll copy a line from a very famous sci-fi movie. The force is strong with him.
Yes.
But the thing is this, right? The thing about tennis is, or not just only tennis, individual sports like tennis, boxing, combat sports, where it's just only you. It is the true, let's say, true test of your resolve as a man. How long can you maintain that form? Now, we've seen over the last 10, 15 years, the big three, or big two before, Djokovic joined the queue. But again, he has a very impressive serve, by the way. But I don't. For me, before we start getting excited, let's just wait and see. I always say we give you 3 years, win major titles in 3 years, and then I'll rate you as a top tennis star.
But if we look at he is in the zone right now.
He is, and that saying from football about form and class, form being temporary and class being permanent. He's in fine form. That's temporary. Let's see how long that will last.
You clearly don't have as much faith in Medvedev as I do. Stefanos Tsitsipas wasted no time in booking his place in the semi-finals of the ATP Rogers Cup after a comfortable win over Casper Ruud. The Greek needed just 76 minutes on court to see off the Norwegian 6-1, 6-4. The 23-year-old will now face Riley Okpala after the American upset win over Roberto Batista Agut.
From Greece, Stefanos Tsitsipas.
Game in first set, Tsitsipas. 6-1. Game, Tsitsipas. Game, sudden match, Tsitsipas. 2 sets to love, 6-1, 6-4.
I know how you feel about Medvedev, but then what do you think about Tsitsipas?
First of all, he's Greek. Secondly, have you seen, he looks like a star. He reminds me of a very young, okay, if I say he reminds me of a young Pete Sampras, it's as if I'm an old guy. But it reminds me of Pete Sampras. And that you talk about potentially being the next superstar, that's your guy right there. He has the looks. See, the thing about tennis that most people don't realize is subconscious. You have memorable matches when you have an absolutely dominant display, or you have matches that are very, very edge of your seat stuff, very dissect. Is he going to win? Is he going to lose? That creates excitement. So Tsitsipas has that. There are certain matches is super powerful. Like this match was very, very tough. And it was
but going by your criteria, 3 years of form is the only way for us to judge. Has he had that in your opinion?
Yeah, he hasn't had that, but like I said, there are certain individuals that have that star quality. And he has it, like I said, from every aspect of the sport of tennis, from his looks, from his ability. The guy for me, I think he has the potential to be great. Obviously, he has a beauty, but then again, already he's making a name for himself. We already know who Tsitsipas is.
Okay, going forward,
yeah,
a lot of people are putting their money on the next big three being Dominic Thiem, Medvedev, and Tsitsipas.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what's the ranking going to be?
Okay, first of all, they should never be talking about that yet. Let Djokovic retire. Then, because the truth of the matter is that whether we like it or not, I don't care what the seeds say, the #1 tennis player in the world right now is Novak Djokovic. Fact. Forget the Olympic performances. He is the main man. And if you don't knock him, there's a saying from professional wrestling by a very famous wrestler, they call him Ric Flair. It says, woo! To be the man, you have to beat the man. So until they beat Djokovic, or they should just chill first. Let them beat Djokovic first.
All right. Dosu Joseph, a former Nigerian goalkeeper, complimented Super Eagles forward Kelechi Iheanacho's confidence in taking responsibility for Leicester City's penalty kick against Manchester City in Saturday's Community Shield. The Manchester City striker, the former Manchester City striker who left the Etihad Stadium 4 years ago, had a disappointing start to the new domestic season at Wembley Stadium. In the 76th minute, Iheanacho came off the bench and was taken down by Nathan Ake in the final minutes. The Nigerian international, who had one of his most productive seasons so far in the Premier League last season, scoring 19 goals for the Foxes, calmly placed the ball past goalkeeper Zach Steffen from 12 yards out to seal the victory for the FA Cup champions. In response to Iheanacho's penalty kick, the former Atlanta Olympic gold medalist claimed that his decision to stay with the club has now paid off. Iheanacho, a lot of people are saying he's reaching his peak as a striker. And certainly, some of us are wondering whether he will cut us soap. How long will this last?
Shower gel. Okay, so first of all, I know that we are speaking a foreign language when it comes to English, but his name is Iheanacho. He's an Igbo guy. What's Iheanacho? Come on, dude, you're Nigerian. Iheanacho. Iheanacho's performances have been... I'm not excited, to be honest with you. I'm not trying to be the guy that dampens the fire of excitement, but he hasn't done it for me yet.
Well, hold on. Just before you bash him even more.
Even
more. Adeshino, what do you think?
For Kelechi Iheanacho, it's been last season, beginning of last season was quite rough for him. He barely had goals past the goalpost, not even starting matches. But the tail end of last season was like a miracle come true for him. So him standing up to take the penalty, it's a good one. It boosted the confidence coming from last season and starting the new season. Coupled with the fact that their main man, Jamie Vardy, is not injured, which makes it difficult for him to get shirt on a normal day if he's not being productive. But right now, he's getting the goals. He's doing very well. We should be excited. He's a Nigerian on the front scene of European football. Take it or leave it. Iheanacho was one of the top strikers we had at the tail end of last season, with the likes of Lingard, Kylian Mbappe, Haaland, and the likes. So it's a good one for me. I feel we should be excited about his career right now. He's been struggling for the past seasons, and he stood with the club, and now it is paying off. Indeed, I want a portion of the soap as well.
Well, at 24, we all know that confidence is so vital for a striker's ability to maintain form. With the kind of confidence he's demonstrating now, shouldn't we be expecting him to go for 19 goals last season, possibly 25 this season, and maybe even more the season after?
So you have to understand, the thing about Iheanacho is that he's had a very, busting to the scene on the 17, exciting Man City with all that. Is a Leicester new chapter of his career. But when Shino just had compared him to Haaland and Mbappe. Lingard, yes, but those guys are in a different stratosphere. Let's not get too excited. Now, as a Nigerian, yes, I'm happy because if Iheanacho is in fine form, that means we most likely might win the Nations Cup when it comes around. But to be realistic and to keep our head rooted down to the ground, scoring a penalty in the Community Shield, which is like the last pre-season friendly match before the major season starts in England, as good as that is not a precursor or an indication of how many goals you will score in the season.
But then it's a goal against his former club, the club that a lot of potential was there, but then they still let him go.
But here's the thing, right? The thing about Iheanacho is this: his chances now are better than ever because Vardy, to be honest, is getting older. He's pushing 35, and Iheanacho is, like you mentioned, is a younger striker. However, Iheanacho needs to now tell us or show us that okay, that form wasn't just a fluke. Because the thing is this, you think of great strikers, African strikers in the past. Yakuba Egbeni is a Nigerian who scored many goals for clubs he played for in the Premier League. Drogba, and a few other African strikers have done well. It wasn't just one season or one half of a season before they were like great players.
But Adeshino, without Vardy, Adeshino?
Yes, I'm with you.
Without Vardy playing alongside Iheanacho, do you think on his own he can lead the line?
To be honest with you, I would say a very big yes. Despite the fact that he had 19 goals last season, he also dropped a couple of important and integral assists, stealing the European spot for the Foxes. So Iheanacho is a top quality player, aside from injuries that he has been struggling with for past years. I would just appeal to we Nigerians to be patient with him, to relieve the pressure on him. He's taking his time. He's just 24. Whether we like it or not, he still has 5 more seasons to play good football. With this form and less injuries, he will consistently bank 15 plus goals every season, conveniently. And I think Iheanacho is very good. Without a supporting striker, you could still provide assist and bank more goals.
Victor, you are one of the Nigerians they are begging. Please give Iheanacho some patience.
Okay.
Francesco Montevino, a former Napoli captain, believes Victor Osimhen will score a lot of goals for the team this season. Osimhen moved to Napoli from Lille in League One last summer in a significant deal. In his first season at the club, the Nigerian international scored 10 goals in 24 league games. He has already scored 7 goals in 4 preseason appearances for the Petenopai, including a brace against Bayern Munich. He constantly positions himself to score, to attack the depth, to give the depth and to stay in the area, Montevino stated in an interview with Radio Kiss Kiss. Osimhen, who wants to score, dashed towards the goal as soon as he saw the opportunity. He continued. Now, I think we had a conversation just before the program.
Yeah.
You don't think Osimhen will score as many goals as is expected? What's your...
Okay, so now Osimhen is a striker that I actually love because he has the build of one of the greatest strikers in Nigerian football history of all time, which is Rashidi Yekini. He has that build. In fact, there are three guys that have a similar style of play like Osimhen. You have Rashidi and Victor Agali, who really didn't have a long spell with the national team. And then we have Osimhen. They're very tall, very muscular, and of course, Osimhen is really maturing as a man in terms of his physical, growth. But the reality of the matter is this: before I get excited with players, I always like to, even for instance, now one of the most highly rated strikers in the world, Haaland. I'm still not convinced yet. Yeah, 60 goals, 60 matches, great. But with Osimhen, yes, the potential is there. This guy could be in fact, he will be most likely be the next Nigerian to win the African Footballer of the Year since Kanu Nwankwo in year 2000. That's 21 years ago. So, but will he score as many goals as he scored in Lille in France? I do not know. Don't forget he struggled in Werder Bremen when he first busted in the scene under 17. Yes, I understand he was younger then. At Lille, he was in his peak performances. Injuries didn't help him last year, but I'm still questioning the fact that will he be able to. Again, I don't hold preseason as anything. Anybody that scores 70 goals in preseason, it doesn't matter.
Additional, what do you think?
It does matter actually, because a preseason match are just preamble into the main dish. It's just like you taking an appetizer before you have your main course.
And I'll tell you this now: in 2015, Manchester United beat Barcelona in a preseason match in the ICC match in the USA, and later on, when Man U has met Barcelona in the Champions League, we've seen what has happened. Preseason is, like he says, is a friendly brother. Usually they change the entire 11 after the first half. What are we talking about here?
Exactly, I agree with you completely. But preseason for players individually gives them a special attention to work on some things you might not want to take risk of in main matches. And for Victor Osimhen, I still repeat the same thing. If you are signed for a record fee from any club, as a young player, it comes with a level of pressure. Your psychologists need to be on you, stand by you, to tell you to calm down the pressure. Osimhen, for me, aside from the injury, was on a lot of pressure. We had too much expectation from him. We didn't give him that stretch, that rusty beginning we give every striker. He's changing leagues, he's changing countries. He needs time to probably adapt. Now we are yet to have his full fit season. Hopefully he doesn't go out on injury more often this season. And I am very sure Osimhen is delivering nothing less than 15 plus goals this season. You might just want to ask me, how confident am I this season? I've hardly seen strikers being so confident in front of goal. Osimhen is the one striker for you that will convert half chances for you. And you'll be like, wow, that was not supposed to be a goal. They are quality strikers like that. I do not support, personally for me, I do not like tapping strikers. More reason why I like the likes of Osimhen, Mbappe, Neymar, Haaland. They convert half chances, not the tapping strikers like I will not mention names, but you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so now here's where I will have a big question. You see, greatness is defined by what you do. Now, the thing about life in general, even in sports, is that sports or history does not remember efforts. I hit the bar. Oh, I almost scored. Oh, the keeper, he was offside. No, it remembers only results. Whether you had injury your first season, you just read out now, he only scored 10 goals in 24 matches. Nobody says, oh, he was injured or he had COVID-19. No, it's the result. Haaland left Norway, went to Salzburg, from there went to Germany, and that boy is just pumping in goals. And this is a player that I should be impressed. I'm not even impressed with someone that is that good. I want the Nigerian football team to have like the best generation since 1994, but we need to put a very high standards of our player internationally so that they can perform. Yes, pressure is part of football. Yes, that's why they spent 70 million euros on you from Lille. So yes, it's part of it.
In your opinion, who starts first in the Nigerian national team? Additional, I want to start with you on this question. Osimhen or Iheanacho?
I'll go with the 4-4-2 formation. Osimhen as supporting striker.
Greedy, want to eat your cake and have it. What about you, Victor?
Okay, so he's going back to the golden age of football when 4-4-2 was actually a thing. But now when we are always playing with this 4-5-3 and 5-3-2, and all this Pep Guardiola confusing formations here and there. Obviously, it's going to be Osimhen. Like I mentioned, he has the perfect build for a top 9. Like that old school striker that we don't really have in world football right now. He's 6 foot plus, muscular, lean muscles, very fast, explosive, agile, athletic. So I'll go to see me. Iheanacho can come second half, but he's my main man.
All right, of course. So we go to the Premier League, and all 5 top leagues started yesterday, and Arsenal slumped to a loss. Brentford boss Thomas Frank believes that everyone in the stadium will never forget Friday night after the Bees announced their Premier League arrival with a 2-0 win over Arsenal. The Premier League new boys proved too much to handle for Mikel Arteta's men, who were without Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Alexander Lacazette, who were left out of the squad due to illness. Arteta left the game claiming the performance was nothing he hadn't already seen before, with the Gunners now facing the task of coming up against Chelsea and Manchester City in their next 2 fixtures. Frank, however, hopes Brentford fans would continue to enjoy their night after admitting he would have been disappointed if his side hadn't come away with the win. Clearly, Brentford are ambitious, and Arsenal maybe not ambitious enough.
Okay, so first of all, I don't want to dampen the spirits of any Brentford fan watching across the world right now. But you guys just played against a very bad Arsenal team. That's the truth. They call them Banter FC online, and it's for good reason. They give us lots of banter. So Arsenal, wow, what's that saying? New season, same old story. Basically, that's what Arsenal is.
Okay, let's go to the track.
First, several thanks them because the support that they have given to the team, all the traveling fans that they were here, and after that, apologize for the results, and we know that we have to improve. We have 2 big games coming up right now, and we need a different performance to get a different result. My focus is with the players that we have, try to make them play as best as possible and get the best out of the team and find the way to win football matches and certainly the next one. We are very clear of what we wanted to do, what our strengths are and where we can improve. And I don't think that today's performance shows anything different to what we're already seeing.
I had this, I have such a big belief in this group of players and this team that actually I know that we are going to face Arsenal and massive club, better individual players, unbelievable players, top coach. But I just had this feeling that I would be disappointed if we didn't beat them before the game, and maybe I would have had an unbelievable reality check on the day, because there's only one day and one game. I think we fairly deserved to win the game. And one of the things where we were unbelievably aggressive in the high pressure and pressed with massive intensity, more or less throughout the game. And then, as you said, the fans were electric. They created an unbelievable atmosphere. Yeah, maybe some of you guys probably were here Wednesday afternoon. I said maybe we had 100 fans outside West London. Now we maybe have a few more. We never know. But now it's a historical evening, and it's crazy that we open the Premier League season with a win against Arsenal. I really hope the fans are enjoying themselves tonight. It's a big moment. I think it's a combination of so many things. First game in Premier League for us. Opening game in the Premier League, evening game, full house, a top performance, incredible. So everyone who were in the stadium today, they will never forget this, and I'm proud to be part of that.
Additional, as a prerequisite of taking over the Arsenal job, does any potential manager have to comport himself to accept that he's going to be disappointed more often than he's going to be happy?
Thank you very much. I feel like for Arsenal fans across the world, there's this truth they have to accept, is that Arsenal is normally a top 6 club.
Thank
you.
They
are going through a process of restructuring. which takes a lot of time. A lot of clubs right now across European football are going through the same process. Barcelona is currently going through the same process. Bayern Munich have tried to go through the same process quietly because of the nature of their league, so it wasn't really obvious. So I would just advise Arsenal fans, lower your expectations to make your disappointment as minimal as possible. And for Arteta, I feel like the pressure on him is too much. You can't go for a job that is bigger than your career all round. You've been an assistant manager all your life. Doesn't qualify you to being a manager. Same thing happened to Lampard. He's just been lucky he has an FA Cup to defend his sack letter. Sooner rather than later, he's going to leave the club. They are going to let him go because he's not delivering anything. You can't claim to be restructuring and be losing to a championship side. It is not allowed. It's against the rule of professional football. You have the experience. These players have been in the squad for years. You don't have an excuse to look to Brentford. And Brentford, as a matter of fact, did not win the championship.
They
won through playoff. Exactly. And they came at their third trial, meaning they are not good enough to survive the Premiership in the first season. I kid you not, Brentford are not taking their next 3 points until game week 10. I put this to you. Arsenal is a very disastrous side, and they are putting the rest of the Premier League side to shame. The board needs to arise and talk about something. You can lose to every other club in the Premier League. You don't lose to Brentford.
Adesina, I'm sorry. You are a Southampton fan, right?
Jesus is Lord.
The level of passionate disappointment in your voice suggests you might be secretly an Arsenal fan.
Maybe he was at one point. Now, there's one thing he mentioned that I agree with 110%. Arsenal is no longer top 4. Is even that's literally reaching towards heaven. They're not even top 6. Arsenal are at best top 10. And when I say top 10, their average finish is between 8, 9, and 10. That's Arsenal. And that is a good season. If Arsenal finish top 10, like between 8, 9, 10, I'll say you guys had a great season.
Adesina mentioned about clubs going through restructuring. In my opinion, though, Arsenal have been going through restructuring ever since they left Highbury.
Yeah, they have been rebuilding. As a matter of fact, even before they left Highbury, I think ever since that generation of players left Arsenal, I would say after they went invincible, the following year when Chelsea came around, after that season when Chelsea won it for the first time in 50 years, Henry was already getting old. Robert Perez was leaving, Will Todd left, Patrick Vieira left, Ray Parlour. I mean, the generation of players that were the Arsenal back in the day, in the 90s and early 2000s, were no longer there. And the biggest mistake Arsenal made, sometimes you might say luck wasn't on their side, but I simply, if they had had a better structure, is they didn't rebuild properly from that era and sign players that would lead them to the new decade of football as football was evolving and changing. Other teams were able to do so. United were lucky enough with Alex Ferguson in rebuilt with the likes of Rooney, Tevez and co, Ronaldo. Chelsea had millions to spend. Man City came with millions to spend. Arsenal still were using that same old system.
So is it just a matter of Arsenal are playing catch-up always?
No. They're not playing catch-up. Playing catch-up is a team like Leicester City. You're close to top 4. Arsenal are not playing catch-up. Arsenal are just part of the numbers. They're just top. The only, like I said, is Banter FC. For instance, if Arsenal didn't lose yesterday, I mean, it wouldn't be this exciting. Look at the passionate rants that Shino just gave us. That is only what Arsenal can do to you.
Exactly. Because even in the world football right now, the likes of Southampton that depends on selling players for sales, promoting academy play, are now in the market buying players for the squad. But Arsenal is telling me academy player can still win you the Premier League. Maybe in the coming 10 years, not today anymore.
So even add to
you
that,
need to spend the money.
Yeah, but here's the thing about even the transfer policy of Arsenal, which affected United post Ferguson's era up until maybe under Solskjaer, they kind of managed it a bit. Why would you spend over £50 million on Ben White? Ben White, like he mentioned, was being turned around by championship-level strikers. Is it Lukaku? Is it Cavani? Is it the top-level strikers of the Premier League that he can stand up to?
Regarding the purchase of Ben White, it might be that Arteta is yet to figure out what is best for the defensive line.
So good. That's
without two strong, tall centre-backs partnering him on either flank, he's unable to utilize his best qualities, which is to step into the field with the ball.
Let's ask the bigger question. Who said that Arsenal's problem was in their centre-back area? That entire club, like he mentioned, the entire club needs, and like even the goal, if you watched the match yesterday, the second goal, in fact, 2 goals, a good goalkeeper will have saved the first one, near post. Second one, he was just jumping up and down. It was so bad that I was watching this match with someone yesterday and he mentioned that if Oliver Kahn was in goal, because he says he can't believe that Leno is a German goalkeeper, because Oliver Kahn would have elbowed the striker that was blocking him when that it wasn't even a cross, it was a throw-in, for crying out loud. See, Ben White is not Arsenal's problem. You just, in my opinion, wasted 50 million on a player that is not their problem.
Clearly, Arsenal is always food for fodder. We go to Germany with Robert Lewandowski, who scored on the opening day of the Bundesliga for a record 7th consecutive season, as the Julian Nagelsmann era began with a draw at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Alassane Pli slammed Gladbach into the lead after he was fed by Lars Stindl. That was the first time Bayern, who have won the past 9 titles, have not scored the first goal of the season since 2012. Lewandowski equalized with a volley from Joshua Kimmich. Kimmich's corner. Poland striker Lewandowski and Stindl both went close to scoring a winner in the second half. Lewandowski has scored in each of his last 11 Bundesliga appearances, with 18 goals in that run. The last time he played a game for Bayern without scoring was in February. Bayern failed to win a game in pre-season under Nagelsmann, who left RB Leipzig for Bayern this summer.